All right.
It's coming in now.
All right, so if you're looking at it and you're playing man press rules, and I'm not going to get real technical, but I'm putting this up there so you guys can record or take pictures of it and kind of go through it little by little, because only 30 minutes is really not long enough to go over all the defensive back play. So I'm going to go over man coverage, and then I'm going to go over a zone principle, and then I'm going to show you some drills to do, which I think is really important for the hips of defensive backs at any level. All right. But first of all, your man coverage rules it starts with your stance. And I'm gonna quit sharing my screen real quick. All right, so listen, for defensive backs, for man principles, all right, you want to be what we call athletic. I don't care what age group you are, you just want to be athletic. A lot of times I see defensive backs and they have a wide stance and they play with a flat back. And you don't want to play with a flat back. You want to play athletic more so if you're playing, like you're playing basketball and you're covering somebody, you're being a defender. You want your weight, if you look at my feet, let me move this up a little bit. If you're looking at my feet, all right, you don't want the weight on the back of your heels, and you don't want your weight on your toes. You want it right on your ball where you get to feel good, right? And not flat back, more athletic, slight knee bend where you can move either way. A lot of times I see defensive backs, they have a flat back, their knees are too bent, and the first thing they do, they got to stand up. They got to stand up to move, to be athletic. So the first thing is stance. Make sure your stance is right. And if your stance is right, then everything else will come into play. So remember, athletic moves. Now receivers can have 3 releases. And if you're standing up, you got a tight release where you can use 2 hands to make that contact when they're trying to run through you. All right. You got a wide release when they're just trying to get around you, and you have a speed release when they're going, if you don't, because if they don't want you to touch them as a defensive back, you're not going to touch them. But the key is try to stay square as long as you can. And as they release, making sure you don't chase them in a sense, but you can stay square to use both hands. And if they have a wide release, which is the number B, we want to just, all we want to do is make sure we're having a 45-degree angle. We're punching with the opposite hand, stand on the upfield shoulder. The upfield shoulder is the closest shoulder to the sideline. And we want to be closer to that than not. So if I'm a receiver and I'm releasing here, as a defensive back, normally most defensive backs are taught to be on the low hip for some odd reason. But if you're up here, now you're taking care of the deep routes and you don't have to worry about covering everything. So you play top down, what we call it. And the one thing that we taught, and I really taught to help defensive backs when they're at the early stage, is a 6-inch step. And what a 6-inch step is, I'm going to show you my feet again. So I'm playing with an inside shade. And as soon as right when the ball snaps, all I do is do this little 6-inch step. And it's teaching me to stay patient. I call it a patient step. Most people call it a 6-inch step or a pure step, but I call it a patient step because it's teaching the defensive back how to be patient. And the key for defensive backs is don't panic. That's what we say. We don't panic, because you can win at 4 different places. All right. You can win at the line of scrimmage. You can win at the receiver's climb. So in his route, you can get back up there. You can win at the break. So whatever route if he's running a curl, at the top of that, he's coming back. That's the break. And then you can win at the point of attack. And the point of attack is where the ball is going. So if you don't win at the line of scrimmage, you still got 3 other opportunities to make a play on the ball. We've seen this before. You guys have seen it as coaches, and players have seen it where you kind of get beat early, but at the end result, you're out there making a play. And that's what you want as a defensive back. All right. The key to playing defensive back is all about angles. The further you play away from the ball, it's all about angles. The closer with the big sexies, it's leverage, it's being low, it's getting arms out, whoever can get their hands inside. But the further you play away from the ball, it's about angles. All right. It's all about angles. But man principles, you got to have man eyes. And man eyes mean I got my cat. We call it cat coverage. You cover that cat. Don't have your eyes everywhere else. Have your eyes on your man. And that's the key. So when we're playing here, we're sitting in our stance, not a real wide step. My vision is going to be in the middle of the receiver's chest, right in the middle of the receiver's chest. So I'm not getting too far down, but I'm right here. My eyes is right here. I got my hands ready to work, because your hands and feet work together. All right. I tell it, all DBs, your hands and feet work together. And as your rules state, as a defensive back, I can touch the receiver all the way down the field until the ball's thrown. So you use that to your advantage as a defensive back. And the main thing, though, is to stay on the upfield shoulder where you're not thinking that you have to take away you want to take away the deep ball. So no seams, no posts, no goes. That's the first thing in your head. You keep everything in front of you, and you make offenses and quarterbacks and receivers work their way down the field. And you have to believe somewhere along the line in those 10 plays, the 12 plays, that they're going to make a mistake. And when they make a mistake or they make a bad throw, that's what benefits us. All right. So remember, see that number 7, good angles, upfield shoulders. We're not playing on the low hip. All right. Do not lunge. Do not cross your feet over too early. Right now, you're going to have to cross your feet over eventually to start running, but it's not the first step. All right. It's not the first step. Just remember, everything that we do on press coverage, this is what we're talking about, man-to-man press coverage, is that we're being athletic. Our eyes are right in the middle of the chest. We don't have a wide stance. All right. And we're taking a 45-degree angle when the receiver releases. So he releases. If he speed releases, you don't go chase him. You take a 45-degree angle to cut him off, and he's going to come right back to you. All right. And have a plan. Remember that. So number 3, which I skipped, which I shouldn't have, I skipped. Remember, have a plan of attack as a defensive back. Most defensive backs just go out there to cover. They don't have a real plan, but have a plan. All right. Play to your help. If you're middle backer, if you got a 3D man-to-man, a single high safety, play to wherever your help may be, or your help may be the sideline. Right? So you have help going to the sideline. And if you're playing on the upfield shoulder and you got him pinned to the sideline and my receiver's right here, all right, now the quarterback has to throw the ball between me and the sideline, and the receiver has to make that catch. And we know contested catches, as a defensive back, you go all the way to the ground with the receiver if he has the ball in his hands to try to strip it out, because they got to maintain control as they go down, right? And we make sure that we fight for that ball all the way down to the ground. And that's all about press coverage. And press coverage is you're playing an inside shade. if it has a wide split, and if it's a reduced split, we got an outside shade. And remember, when you have an outside shade, and I talked about the little 6-inch step, right? The patient step. When you have an outside shade, you do not do the patient step. You do not do the patient step. It's only with the inside shade. So when you're on the inside, and when I say shade, I'm saying the inside eye of the receiver. The inside eye of the receiver. If I'm playing outside eye or outside hard shoulder, I do not do the patient step because I already have position. I already had that outside position. Okay? So remember, 2 hands, 1 hand, no hands. Don't lunge. Be patient, which is a 6-inch step, which is a patient step. At the end of it all, if you don't win at the line of scrimmage, you still get the win on the climb, on the break, and at the POA, the point of attack. All right? You still have opportunities to make plays for your football team down the back end of it when you're playing press man. But press man is everything. Stay patient. Stay patient at the line of scrimmage. If you don't get your hands on him there, remember you got 3 other opportunities to make a play. All right? 3 other opportunities to make a play. And that's at the very bottom. I put that again. You can win at the line of scrimmage. You can win on the climb or the route. You can win on the break point. And you can win at the ball at the point of attack. All right? So just tell your players, if something happens, and players, if you're listening, if something happens to you, you don't start out well at the very snap of the ball, don't panic. Never panic. Remember, you still have 3 other places you can win on that down for your football team. All right?
Coach Woodson, a quick question whilst your skip drive works. You emphasize on the eyes of the DB to be on the chest or the numbers of the wide receiver, right?
Yes.
Sometimes, what I've heard as well is that they put their eyes on their hips, right, where the center of gravity is. Just wonder whether if you have heard the same, and what's your view on that?
I have heard that. Matter of fact, when I was going through playing Little League football, I was told the same thing. But how are you going to have your eyes if I'm pressed? If I'm pressed right here and the receiver's head's right here, you telling me I'm looking down like this? So it's you can definitely do it. I like to see right here because most receivers, they're going to try to give you a little something, but they're not leaving without their moving that body one way or the other. All right. That's either they're going to swim you, they're going to try to rip through you, one or the other. I have heard that, Coach. I think when guys do that, sometimes they get to the flat back and now they're looking at the hips, but as soon as the ball snaps, they got to come up before they even move. So what I'm telling athletes all the time is, okay, if you got a wide stance and the first thing you do is jump this way to get back to it, why have a wide stance? Try to be efficient as possible at what you do to make you a better athlete when the ball snaps. So
thank you, Coach. No, thank you, Coach. And I guess it would be different if in this case you have the DB playing loose, with enough cushion. Perhaps the eyes, may focus differently rather than when you're playing press.
Say that one more time, Coach.
Saying that perhaps when you're playing loose, let's say you're playing 3, with enough cushion. Would you say their eyes be different?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that right now.
Gotcha. Thank you, Coach.
So man eyes is I'm covering my cat. I'm covering my guy. My eyes are on my guy. And I tell DBs all the time, when, especially in press, your vision is on your guy. That's it. Now, when you're playing off man, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit because it's a plant and drive idea, zone principles is different. Zone eyes, I want to see more. Man eyes, I want to see my guy. Zone eyes, I want to see more. And the idea behind it, so let's say we're in a cover 3 principle, right? Which is 3 deep zone. All right. 3 deep zone. And the idea behind it is you always stay as deep as the deepest. No seams, no posts, no goes, period. The rule of thumb for deep players is you always say deep as the deepest, but if you have 2 players in your zone, so you have a receiver that went to the flat, and then you had a go, the receiver ran a 9 route, right? So you have receiver go to the flat, receiver go to the 9 route. You always stay as deep as the deepest. Always as deep as the deepest first, all right? Again, you want to approach the line of scrimmage with a plan of attack. And I tell DBs all the time, if you only do one thing, and when you show one thing, and you only do one thing, so if I'm pressing, when we play zone, if I'm always playing off, then a quarterback sees, okay, they're playing off, they're in a zone. So if I press, now I get to press bail, which is a third. I can play off, which is I can play the 1/3 that way, right? And then the same thing, if you go to a cover 2 mentality, which is a 2 deep, 2 underneath, right? Or the corners squatting, what we call it. Now I can be pressed. I can press bail, and I can stop at 3 yards, 4 yards, then play my cover 2. And what I said at the very beginning with the man-to-man is you have a plan of attack for the offensive player, because they got a plan of attack. They're going to come out and look at you. The receiver's going to come out and look at you, have his little back foot up on the outside, and he's going to see you with an inside shade, and he's going to try to figure out if he has an inside release, what do I need to do to get back inside? Right? So the first thing they're going to do, they're going to stick you to the outside, try to get you to open up, and then rip back inside. Well, you got to make them think, just because you're seeing one thing right now, doesn't mean that's what's going to happen when the ball snaps as a defender. All right. So have a plan of attack again. See that in number 3, the deep is the deepest, the widest is the widest. You always have in cover 3 in a zone principles. When you have cover 3 and you got 2 people running up the seam, that outside corner is always a 2-to-1 player, right? Always a 2-to-1 player, because there is seams when you have a 3 deep zone, right? And the seams are normally by the hashes, but in our high school and our college fields, those are closer to the numbers, the inside of the numbers. Those are the seams. And the outside corners, it's his responsibility to be able to play both of them by splitting the difference, splitting that divider, the widest divider point in your zone, but you want to split that and be the 2-to-1 player, all right? When you're playing off man or off zone, you do want to have vision on the receiver, but you want to see the quarterback with your peripheral vision. So you want to kind of see more, right? You want to see more, where if I'm playing man-to-man, I want to be more focused in on the guy that I'm covering. Remember, in zone, the more I can see, the more I can help out my comrades or my guys who, if I don't have any work. All right. Remember, the key to playing football is playing together. You do your job first before you can help anybody else out. Do your job first. All right. Great ball reaction is needed to be a great zone defense. And then what I'll do is, Coach Turek, I'm going to give you our zone principles. and then you can share that with them. And if they have any questions about like the philosophy behind it, they can always reach out to you or me, and I can explain it even more because I can't do it in 30, 35 minutes.
Understood, Coach. We're going to send a package out afterwards anyway, so we'll include that.
Okay. All right. Remember this, in zone, so 3D zone we were talking about, in cover 2, we're talking about 2 guys rolled up, you got 2 guys back, you got 4 guys rushing if it's a 4-3, even if it's a 3-4, a lot of times it's 4 guys rushing because you're going to bring one of those outside backers. And then you have 3 guys underneath. But in a 2 deep, you have the 4 guys rushing, you have 5 underneath, right? Because you got the 2 corners, you got your poachers, and you got your Mike backer, and you got your 2 safeties. All right. When you're a corner and you're playing cover 2, if there's a 3-by-1 away from you, and that receiver's a wide split, do not play outside. And this is for the coaches more so than anything else. This is a rule of thumb, because if they go 3-by-1, there's only 5 eligible receivers, right? You got that back offset. It doesn't really matter if he's a far set away from the tight end or the passing strength, or if he's a near set to the passing strength. They can run slant on the backside, right? They clear that whole window out over there. And if you're in cover 2, most coaches teach them to play outside shade, jam, right? Funnel them inside, because that's where all your help is at, right? But when you're playing inside and he runs a little slant, so he comes up, sticks you, comes inside, that's the easy throw for most quarterbacks, right? So I always tell most DBs, when they got a 3-by-1 in cover 2, inside shade, with the same mechanisms that you do in your squat footwork, all right? All right. Again, always play top down. Zone eyes, always play top down. All right. The last thing I'm going to do real quick before we can get to is this plant and drive. All right. And plant and drive is if you're playing any off man or off zone. All right. Plant and drive. And everybody has different philosophies behind it about the guy's footwork when they're coming out of their breaks. I'm a real fan of making sure you're doing everything with speed. All right, you guys see that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So your plant drive. So now we're talking about, we're playing off man or off zone. Okay, we're playing either one. If I'm the left corner, I'm playing with my left foot up, my right foot back. All right, so you guys can see my feet. It's like this. Now, I really don't like kids putting their feet up like this, because the first thing they do is have to put the foot down to go backwards anyway. All right, I do see it quite a bit where guys have their feet up like this when they're off man or off zone, off coverage in general, you know, but I like to have my kids, the guys, more athletic. All right, with that left, if I'm the left corner with my left foot up, and I'm doing so because now I can see inside. Now, if I'm the safety to that side, now my safety, say we're in cover 2. My safety is going to have his right foot up, his left foot back, because normally what we're trying to do anyway, we're trying to disguise coverage, right? So now the the offense is inside. The whole offense is inside. The outside receiver's out here. And my safety now has his right foot up, his left foot back, so he can open up at what we call fishtail. He can open up and fishtail to his landmark. And we have landmarks, which that's something that Coach Turk is going to get, or I'm going to send Coach Turk so he can send to you guys, where you guys can see what landmarks look like in 3 deep zone and 2 deep zone. All right. So the biggest thing for your high schoolers, because since you guys get to make contact with the receiver down the field, is what I call scooch, okay? And scooch is not a back cuddle. So I got my left foot back right here. You see, I see that, right? And the first thing I do is I'm scooching just like this, just a little shuffle, all right? It's like scooch, scooch, all right? So if I'm playing off man or off zone, I'm scooching 2 times. So say they run a 3-step. So I scooch, scooch, step with my front side foot. Now I can plant and drive, all right? And what I mean by plant and drive, if you guys can see my feet, right? A lot of guys will plant and they'll do a T-step like this, which I'm not a real fan of. But I like to see the guys plant here, and now your next drive leg is your right leg should be going towards your target.
Coach, we can still see your notes. We can't see you.
Oh, I see myself. Okay.
Apologies.
All right, here we go. All right, so scooch, scooch. All right, and then your next step, when you go your scooch, 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 next step is here, your plant. And if they're running a 3-step, my lead leg, which is my right leg, is going to go toward the target. Now it's not going to go real far out. It's going to go a little bit in front of me. What you don't want to see normally is defensive backs put their feet back underneath them and their feet are together somewhere in their covering the receiver, unless you're man-to-man and you're trying to get vertical to jump up in the air to knock the ball down. Normally, you don't want your feet to come together, because if your feet are coming together, you're not getting closer to your target. And what I tell guys all the time is that every time you do a drill, and we're going to see that in a little bit, every time you do a drill like you're covering a receiver, or you're covering a tight end, or you're covering a running back if you're a linebacker. Every time you do something in your mindset, I'm doing it because I'm doing it for a reason. And you have to have that same idea behind it, and you got to do it with the same speed that you would do it in a game. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not a habit or not an act, it's a habit. So if you do it over and over and over and over and over, you don't even think about it. You play to your subconscious or your unconscious mindset. Just like we get up every morning, we breathe. We don't think about breathing. We just do it, right? And the more you can get that to your kids playing each position, now their athletic ability just comes out, all right? So go back to the share real quick. All right, your planned drive. All right. Remember, when you're planning and driving to the guy, you always are going to the upfield shoulder. Because if you're on a double move, now they got to run through your body. And if you go to the low hip, trying to get the interception and stepping in front of them, and they run a double move, well, now they're going to be on the backside of you. All right. So just remember, when you drive to the receiver, you always are driving to the upfield shoulder. All right. Always driving to the upfield shoulder. All right, I'm not going to get into the transition and blocking and protection and all that stuff and cut blocks, but you guys can see all that. All right, you guys can see all that. Look at it, go over it. Any questions, you can always email me at rod@hopethroughfootball.org. And any questions you have, just say, hey, I was looking at, you know, block protection. I was at number 4. What do you mean? And I'll try to clarify it, explain it a little bit better. All right. Just trying to get through a lot. All right.
What would be great, Coach, is that this may give the opportunity to have you again on another session to continue this great conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing that I'll bring my stuff back so we can go to video. The one thing that I'm doing, which I'm close to, and even Coach Turk doesn't know this yet, or Franco, is that I have my defensive back set kind of like football 101. And Chuck Bresnahan, who Franco, you know, obviously, but he has put together the linebackers and defensive line, kind of football 101. And then Coach Bob Wiley is doing the offensive line. Coach Charlie Collins is doing the wide receivers. Coach Robert is doing the running backs. And then we have Trent Dilfer is doing our quarterbacks. And what we're doing is that we're putting this whole thing together for you guys and putting it all out so you can see kind of everything, kind of like just football, each position, how they teach it. And most of them are coaches. You know, Trent Dilfer just became the head coach for a high school team in the middle of Tennessee, which is a pretty good football team. So we're going to put that together for you guys and then give it to you. All right. I got to make sure I can see the screen. All right. So the first drill here is just a line drill. All right. And all it is a simple back pedal. And when you're back pedaling, remember your feet are kind of eating up the grass. We're not picking our feet up like we're running. We're kind of what we call cutting the grass with our feet. And then we're just turning. The coach is going to turn them one way or the other. The key thing that you're going to see in these drills is that every time we do a drill, we throw balls to the defensive backs. All right, just to get them used to catching interceptions and touching the ball so they get used to touching it on a consistent basis, all right? So this first one, just a line drill, just open and turn with the ball, all right? Now, all we want is the defensive backs to stay on the line, right? So that means your hips got to be loose. You got to do hips drills to make sure they are very fluent with their hips, all right? Same thing, we just go once down the field and come back, we go the other way. All right, and now here, we're going 3 times, right? So we're seeing that. We're going 1, 2, 3. It's all a transition, right? Just transitional warm-up drills for your defensive backs to stay on the line, teaching them how to get their hips moving, right? On this one, it's just, we're weaving them. So we're weaving at a 45-degree angle. Remember, 45-degree angles is about angles when you play defensive back. Everything's about angles. When you do the angle drill, this weave drill, we want to keep our shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. So now the line of scrimmage is where the coaches are at. We want to keep them square to the line of scrimmage. We go through 3 when they turn and catch the ball. These are all warm-up drills. All right? All warm-up drills. And all you want to do is just make sure everybody is getting their feet right, getting their shoulders right, doing the right angles, and touching the football so they can get an idea what the ball feels like if they're not playing both ways. All right? Because a lot of times defensive backs cannot catch. Now this drill right here, is what we call a 45-degree angle drill. And I did this drill every single day for 17 years, believe it or not. I did it every day we had practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I did this drill. And this drill just teaches you how to, all about your angles, 45-degree angle. And the key to watching them, when they plant their outside foot to go to the other 45-degree angle, they're not double stepping. A lot of guys double step. And if you double step and the receiver's not double stepping, who has the advantage? The receiver does. All right. So 45-degree angle. They do it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then they go to the upfield shoulder to catch the ball. This drill to me is the best drill you can do for your guys because it's teaching them how to plant and drive and have a good angle all at the same time. All right. This is just a quick little, what we call W drill, making sure you plant and drive. And you see their feet, they're not T-stepping, right? They're speed stepping. That's what I call it. See their back foot? I mean, he T-stepped a little bit, but most of the guys are just planting and driving. Boom, right there. Just speed steps, getting to the next target. So once they get here, that next foot is moving toward the target. All right. All right, now these are transitional drills. And these are really important just for the fact that the warm-up drills that we did, or you just saw, you seen the guy who's on the line of scrimmage, he opened up and he went vertical. Well, this time he's gonna open back up, but then he's gonna come back opposite of the way he opened up. So that's a transition he has to get from opening his hips like a receiver does. He'll run his route, break down and run an out route, right? Or a deep comeback. This is how DB is going to look. Right? And it's normally the coaches are either saying, you know, break, open, break, then they come right back. So you see the coach right here in the light teal shirt. He's the one that's breaking them back, right? He's opening them and he's bringing them back. Come back at a 45-degree angle, coming back downhill to the outside. These drills are critical for defensive backs just to teach them to open their hips. And these are all pliable to the field. You see this happen every single day with defensive backs. I don't care if it's Pop Warner, high school, college, or the pros. This is what happens to defensive backs on a consistent basis. And you teach them, you do the same drills that they apply in games, and they should get better and better and better. And we always said, this game is played in inches, so you try to close those inches down as a defensive back. This one right here, right, is critical. So let's go back. So keep going. So now the guys they're in their press position. We see they're not bent over too far with a flat back. They got a good 45, small knee bend. They're in athletic position. They're going to stay as square as long as possible for 5 yards. See them punch, widen. They come up here. Now it's like the receiver is taking them outside, and then they break back inside. So now the coach is going to say break. They're going to pivot the opposite way like that and teaching them open up their hips. Now, the end result, you want them to catch the ball. But this is a great drill to get the receiver or the DBs to just have loose hips on a consistent basis. And you see it right here, how it's applied into a game situation, all right? It happens every single day for defensive backs where they're getting opened up and they have to be able to come out of that, all right? So same drill. So You see him backpedal 45 and come right out of it. So you do different drills because you never know where the body of the defensive back is going to be. You don't know if he's going to be to the point where he can turn and flip his hips the opposite way like the last drill, or his body's going to be so, so further ahead that he's going to just turn his body kind of a speed turn like this drill is. So these drills are really critical so making sure that they just learn to open up their hips. And then remember at the very beginning of this whole thing, we're talking about man-to-man, right? And we're talking about playing press man and the 6-inch rhythm step, which Coach Ron Myers, he's now the defensive back coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, but he was with the Chargers. He teaches the same thing. And I call it a patient step because I'm teaching my guys to be patient, but it's the same drill. All right, you just put all the guys there and all they're going to do, see that little 6-inch step? That's all it is. So they're all inside shade players. All right, everybody has an inside shade and they're all going to take that right foot 6 inches. And all they're doing is trying to, as they make that step, the receiver is in his motion already because the ball's already snapped. And you're trying to get the DB not to back up. Because a lot of times you'll see the DB backing up and then the receiver a break right where the DB was at. He might run a little slant or something, but he has a break point right where the DB just left. So we're trying to teach the DB to slow down and to be patient, to get your hands on the receivers, because defenses they don't have a clock, right? Offenses, they live in time. Everything's about timing. If it's an out route, it's going to be a 5-step out route, speed out, right? We are here to disrupt the timing as much as we can to put ourselves in better football position, all right? So now they're going to be with the left side. And that's all they're doing is teaching them to be patient, to watch some of the drills. See that little step? He had the little step. Now, I don't like him lunging like this, not moving his feet. But it puts him on the upfield shoulder. And now when they're upfield shoulder, the ball's released. It's a deep comeback. He's in a better position. See the 6-inch step with the outside foot? Now he's in upfield position. Most people teach their DBs to be back here. And Ron is one of the better coaches in the National Football League. He teaches his DBs to be on the upfield shoulder, which is where he's at. See where he's always at? He's always on the top side of the receiver. And now, if they throw a bad football, this quarterback over here throws a ball back inside here, he gets to see it just as much as the receiver gets to see it and gets an interception. All right, so that's critical. Just doing everything that you do in practice every single day for your players so they can play fast. And this drill is what they say, just take a charge. And that's what you see in the very beginning of the screen. You take the charge drill. So you're just going to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. You let the receiver just run back and forth. And then once he releases, it's the DB's responsibility to move his feet to stay on top side of the receiver. All right. All right, I'm not going to keep going into this, but you guys get the idea behind some of the drills that you have. I really went over my time. But you guys kind of get the idea behind what it's like to have different drills for different positions. And from being a press receiver, man-to-man, having man eyes, being a zone defensive back and having zone eyes where I see more. But the key to all of it, playing defensive back, when you're a deep third player or playing man-to-man, is no seams, no posts, no goals. You stay upfield down. And if you can stay upfield down, the quarterback somewhere along the line is going to make his mistake. And then you, if he makes that mistake, have an opportunity to get the ball for your offense, or you get to have a pick six, which means, you know, when you score on defense, you normally win. You know, if you score once on defense, the opportunity to win that game increases probably 30 to 40%. If you score twice on defense, it goes up to probably 70%. So teach your guys always to touch the football, have a good understanding of what the ball is all about. But every drill that you do is applicable to the game. And then mine is over, even though I went over. I apologize. I got too excited.
Coach.
I can talk ball all day. I mean, I know it's really late over there, but here I'm like, I can do it. I can do it for another couple hours.
Oh, don't worry, Coach. We'd rather be listening to you talk football than spending our nights watching some useless, brainless Netflix show. So you're all good. You're all good.
I don't know about that.
No,
some of the shows are pretty good on Netflix.
But what was that?
I said some of the shows are pretty good on Netflix.
Some of them depends. You know, that Eliza Lamb documentary was a little disappointing, but you know, I'm a little disappointed with that, but it's okay. I digress. But Coach, thanks so much for your presentation. As always, you know, it's a delight and very insightful. Coach Woodson and Coach Washington, just a disclaimer: do I have your permission to share your email addresses on the group chat over here? In case, okay, great, I'll do that, guys. In case you don't get to ask your questions tonight, because we only have about time for perhaps a couple of the 2 or 3 questions. So, but if you do have any questions, just so you know that we will share this presentation on YouTube, and then you can always just reach out via email. So let's jump to the Q&A bit. Let's go with Daryl Farrell, sir. You're up.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for being
here. Good. How you doing?
Coach, how you doing? I'm Dara. I'm the coach of the Irish national team here, and it's great to have you on. And you know, I think we've all learned a lot tonight. But what would you say is the most important thing the guys can do at home, away from, you know, doing their own work outside the gym and stuff? I would say it's kind of ladder work, speed work, you know, step running, that kind of stuff. But what's your thoughts on it?
Are you talking to me or Coach David?
Coach Woodson.
Oh, personally, you know, I'm kind of greedy, and I say you got to do all of it. You know, when you focus in on one thing, then you kind of hit one muscle. You know, I know David talked about nutrition and weights, but I'm talking do nutrition, do weights, and train when you can, right? Is it asking more of you? Yes, it is. But if you want to be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today, then you have to do something different, right? Each and every day, we as human beings either have to stay in our status quo and don't change anything ever, and we just live our lives the way we've been living it, or do you change it? Do you make yourself, is it harder to kind of give yourself over to a couple other things outside of other things that you already do in your life? Yes, it is. Is it worth it if you want to be a better version of a football player than you are, you know, tomorrow than you are today? Absolutely. So I say, you know, try to find a way to have better nutrition, to get a little strength training, to get a little speed work, because you can do speed work. You know, you can just run hills up, you know, anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm pretty sure in Ireland there's a bunch of hills. You know, so there's some pretty good inclines somewhere around there that guys can get on. And then after they do the incline, they can come back, do a decline, probably a shorter version of it because you're going to move a little bit faster. So I would say kind of mix it up, have a way where you know, one day maybe you do this, and the next day you come back and do strength training, and the next day you do a little speed training. And if you only can train 3 times a week, you know, then you know, do you need to get stronger or do you need to get faster? And if you need to get
for DBs, you know, speed kills. So I'd rather a faster DB and a weak DB than a guy that can bench it, you know, 100 kg or 225, you know, 15 times. I like a guy that can run a 4.4 or 4.5 or 4.6, you know.
I can tell you this, Coach. When I came out of high school and I had to go to Purdue University, we had to max out our bench. I didn't even get 225 off my chest. It stayed on my chest. It went down and never came back up. So strength is okay. But, you know, I always believe in lighter reps or lighter weight, more reps. So you build long, lean muscles. If you look at all the pictures David showed you, there was no real big athletes on that screen. All really good athletes have long, lean muscles. So in the first quarter, they can play fast, but in the fourth quarter, they still have endurance because they built those long, lean muscles in the way they train, that they can still play at the same speed that they did at the very beginning. So hopefully that answers your question, Coach.
Yeah, very good. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Let's jump to, all right, who do we got? Let's go with Matthew McConnell's. Let's go with you, sir.
Hi, Coach David. I was just wondering, as a mobile quarterback, would you rather them do long distance running or short running?
Oh, sure. When on the field are you going to do long distance running? You know, realistically, speed, like Rod said, football is a game of inches. So the more you can shorten the field, make it fast, the better off you're going to be. As a quarterback, you don't need to do a lot of long distance running. You need to be explosive, you need to be quick. It's a game of inches, it's a game of speed. So now you want to do more short, explosive, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 yards as opposed to being on the track and just running. You can actually build your endurance by, just say you run, you know, 10 100s with a short rest time in between. You're still going to tax your cardio, you're going to tax your lungs. So you can still build your endurance by doing some short, quick bursts with a short period of time.
And I'm going to add to that because every athlete, every kid has both a fast twitch and a slow twitch muscle in their bodies as they're growing.
Right.
And as we always see kids wanting to go jogging with the parents, but as whatever you feed the most, that's what's going to grow the most. Now,
exactly.
I'm not saying you're going to be Usain Bolt or Tyreek Hill, but I will say that fast twitch muscle that's in your body that whatever you have, you're going to feed that more. So that'd be more twitchier than your slow twitch. So if you're, and I love kids being, outside and all that, but kids who do all long distance running and nothing that's kind of explosive, be it soccer or whatever it is, whatever, just recreational stuff, those type of things, it hurts them in the long run if they're not going to be a distance runner. But if they're going to be a sprinter or doing something where you need explosion, you just kind of want to keep building those as it goes on.
And add on to that, even if you're a distance runner, there's going to be a point in a race where you have to turn over your speed. Yeah. Even if it's a 1,500 or a mile or 3,000, there's going to be a point where you're going to be tested on your speed. So even there's kids that train for the mile, and we still do short speed work because you have to develop those speed switch muscles, like Rod said.
All right, thanks. Thank you, sir. All right, let's go with one more. You guys okay with one more question?
Yeah.
All right, let's do more. Yes, sir. I mean, we can have 10 more. I'm happy. I'm good to sit here all night. I'm good.
David's just going to go back to sleep, so go ahead and do all you can.
Okay, I'll give him a best shot. All right, let's go with, I know, Nathan, you had a question a while back, so let's just go with you, Nathan, if you're on the call.
Yeah, I'm still here. How you doing, Coach?
All right, thanks for being here.
I'm actually gonna sneak in too. So So the first one, just to clarify with the scooch, you got that shuffle times 2 when you're playing off coverage. Just to clarify, it was the inside foot that was back, or was the outside foot that was back?
If I'm a left corner, my left foot's going to be up front, my right foot's going to be back, and the scooch is just sliding back.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I thought.
Two scooches, and then on your third step, you take your, then you start your back pedal. If they run a 3-step slant, it mirrors a 3-step slant.
You want to be able to drive on that.
Now you slant and drive on your outside foot. Obviously, if you're a right corner, your right foot's going to be up and your left foot's going to be back, and you scooch, and then you step. All right.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. You want to be able to drive on that inside route when you're playing off coverage. My second question was, you were talking about the 6-inch rhythm step. You had said when you're playing man coverage, so assuming, cover 0, cover 1, your helps to the inside. You were saying on the reduced splits, you don't use the 6-inch step, obviously, because you're already leveraged to send that receiver to your help. My question is, if you're doing cover 5, so you got the 2 deep safeties, but you're still manning up and you're aligning outside shade to, send them to your help, you're absolutely using that 6-inch step to the inside, correct?
Not to the inside. So if it's a reduced split and you're playing cover 5, 2-man, all right. If you play hard inside, all they're going to do is release outside and run away from you, right?
Okay.
So you're worried about them running like what we call mesh routes, right?
Yep.
So if you run 2-man and 3rd and short, 2nd and short, something of that nature, and you're thinking they're gonna run some type of mesh route, some type of shallow crossing route to rub somebody.
Yeah.
The player to the single receiver side, all right, has to jet stream that. And what I mean by jet stream that is that soon as he goes in, soon as that receiver you lose him, you got to go underneath him. Because if you go underneath him and the other guy stays on top, you can't get picked. It's when both your guys stay on top or kind of squeezing him on the upfield shoulder to try to slip him underneath.
Yep.
That's when they start getting picked. All right.
Okay.
But so I wouldn't have him do a 6-inch step to the inside. It's always to the outside. You never want to confuse the guys, right? It's always inside shade, 6-inch step with your speed foot or to the speed foot, because the speed foot for a receiver, he's always going to have that outside foot back, right?
Okay.
So you want a 6-inch step to that speed foot.
So when he's breaking inside, you're doing cover 5, you want to get straight under that mesh route.
Yeah, you want to jet stream that one. That's what we call it. We call it jet stream. So you're trying to get underneath it, so the other guy on the other side doesn't pick you. Because that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to pick somebody to rub somebody free.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot. Okay, let's go with one more question. Unfortunately, we only really do have time for one more. I know it's getting late over there. By the way, what time is it in Ireland? Is it an hour behind London, Britain, or is it the same time difference?
4 to 10.
Okay, cool.
Same time.
All right, cool, great. Well, let's go with one more question. I know I wish I could have all you guys ask the questions, but we have a lot of folks here, which was great, by the way. And by the way, before we have the final question, I do want to give a shout out to the ladies who are on the call as well. In football, it's wonderful to see the diversity in this game and where we've come from when it started back in 1868 to where it is now. So thanks everybody for being on the call. It is much appreciated. So let's go with, why don't we go with Lorcan Ryan, sir? You're up.
Hi, my question's for Coach Washington.
Hi, how you doing?
For cleans and like lunges or split squats, what would you say would translate over to speed on the field more?
Well, they all have their place. They're all going to develop your glutes and your quads and so forth. But I would say more splits, because that is going to put more emphasis on one leg at a time. And which is when you play, you're going to be more explosive off of one leg than both. So I would say splits.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Okay, well, given that was a pretty quick answer, let's go with one more, one final one. But this time for real. Let's go with Matthew, sir.
Hi. Question for Coach Washington. How do you improve your acceleration from the first step or two into a route to try and break away from the DB?
Well, first, like Rod said, it's all about your stance. You want to be on the balls of your feet. You want to be good and balanced. You want to be able to move your hips and be able to move off of one leg. If you're flat-footed, if you're leaning too far forward, like Rod said, you have to come back to your athletic position to start to move. So first is being on the balls of your feet and understanding where your sense of balance is. And then it's just doing drills over and over. There's a drill I do where I have people stand on the balls of their feet and lean forward. And as they lean, they're going to fall. So to catch yourself, you're going to have to move your foot. But you want that foot to come out low and explosive and drive down back into the track. That kind of parallels into when you run in track and you see a lot of athletes starting to use what they call the Jamaican toe drag. Their first foot or their back foot coming out of the blocks now is low and it's very explosive and quick, versus in the old days, that back leg would come out with a high arc and down and powerful. But you want to close the gap and close that time frame of being from the foot leaving the ground and coming back to the ground. So as you lean, you want your first two steps to be a low arc and be explosive and come back down into the turf. So your first two steps are low and explosive and quick, and that's going to help your acceleration that much more, as opposed to taking this long drive, the first step. So you want the first two steps to be low and explosive and quick. Does that help?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Oh, and on top of that, like Rob was saying, that your hands and feet work together. So your arms and legs work together. So as your feet move, your arms and your shoulders are going to drive as quick as your legs do. So a lot of times you see athletes and they work on their feet and the arms are just kind of hanging. And that's more like you're holding groceries. So you want to move your arms as quick as your feet do. But the shoulders, you move from the shoulders and not from the forearms. You see a lot of guys who would do this all day long. And yeah, my hands are quick, but that's not helping me run fast. So you want to drive from the shoulder as opposed to from the elbow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thanks very much.
Okay. All right.
Great. Thanks a lot, sir. I'm just about to share your emails just about now with the group, if that's okay.
That's perfectly fine.
Great. Thanks a lot. Guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send any follow-up emails to gentlemen.
You know what? On mine, you can put David at hopethroughfootball.org.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll do that. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either one will work, but since we're Hope Through Football,
yeah, let's make it universal.
Let's do that.
And consistent.
That's easy to remember.
Okay, great. All right.
That's what I was going to say, Maurice. Put mine at Rod at hopethroughfootball.org.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have it on the it's the second one. I have you up there. Yeah. Rod at hopethroughfootball@gmail.com. Is that the one?
Well, do it .org. So
.org. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, it goes over there anyway, but
okay, yeah, just to make it. All right, let me just resend that, gentlemen. Okay, cool. Well, it's been a pleasure. As always, I'm always looking forward to these share the knowledge webinars, and I can't wait for the next one to happen. So I'm very excited. So let me hand it over to Coach Woodson, and I believe we have the head coach for the Irish American football team, Coach Sullivan, and of course the president of the Irish Federation, Aidan McQuire, for any final words.
Well, I'm just going to say it was an honor to be a part of this and to collaborate with Ireland. And, you guys are awesome. Anything that we can keep doing to help grow the game. And, what the back of my shirt says, share the knowledge and share the knowledge with the players, keep growing that. I'm willing to do. We're going to give you guys a lot of information and a lot of docs so you guys can go through as coaches, and the players can go through it as much as you guys want to see that stuff. And like I said, any questions you have for me or David after this, please reach out. And hopefully we encourage, we want to evaluate you guys. We want to educate you guys. We want to execute. We want to empower you guys. We want to enrich you guys. But the key thing, we want to endorse you guys. But the key thing we want to do more than anything is equip you guys and equip your players so the game can keep growing, the game that we all love. And that's why, I coached it. I played it. You guys all coach it and probably played it. We love this game, and we're all coming together to try to further the game there in Ireland. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
If I can, I would just like to take an opportunity to thank everybody for tuning in. But in particular, I'd like to thank Coach Woodson and Coach Washington for their fantastic presentations this evening. It's great to talk about football and to be positive about something in these days. I'd like to thank Maurice and Franco and Coach Ayub for all their help in putting this together. And I just can't wait for the next. I can't wait for the next installment. I'm looking forward to it so much. And of course, looking forward to getting all you guys over here to Ireland.
That's what I want to do. I want to go back to Ireland. I haven't been there since 1987.
Wow.
I can't wait to get back.
All right.
Thank you for the great comments. Thank you.
And Mr. McQuire, any final words for you, sir?
Yeah, no, listen, I just think it was phenomenal to have so many people on this evening. It was an inspiration watching Coach Washington and Coach Woodson share their wealth of wisdom with members of American Football Ireland and beyond. What I will stress to my members and my coaches is that if you want further courses in specific areas, please liaise with myself and Coach Kieran. And that also goes for all members, lovers of football from outside of Ireland as well. I see Coach Franco was putting up there the list of countries earlier on of who is attending. And I want to offer our services to everyone worldwide, basically just to get in touch with myself or get in touch with Coach Kieran or Coach Tyreek. And between us, we will work on getting the right courses for the right development and the player growth that we're all striving for. American Football Ireland is here to assist in helping get these courses for everyone involved. And listen, I can't wait for the next one. It's absolutely phenomenal. Maurice, it's the first time meeting you today, and it's well job, good man. Thanks.
Been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot. Well, gentlemen, on that note, I wish you all a very happy, joyous day and evening. Be safe, take care of yourself, and we shall see each other very soon.